we are rolling. What's up, everybody? Cool. So anybody watching, please feel free to ask a lot of questions. I got this sort of round table together. Isabella's sort of new to NFTs. She understands them, but she's really a more drop shipping, right? Isn't that what you're introduce yourself? Tell everybody a little bit about yourself real quick here.
Not drop shipping. There's nothing wrong with that. Still, I guess, viable business for some people, but I have been in the Amazon space for probably close to 8 years now. That's my main focus. I help Amazon sellers grow their brands organically onto Amazon and some different platforms like Walmart, Etsy, and some other ones that, people may not be familiar with, maybe like Chewy and some other ones, but Amazon is definitely my biggest platform that I work with. So, and yeah, with NFTs, I started last year, kind of the last part of last year, but I'm super pumped about them. I'm super excited. It's like I go to sleep and I wake up NFTs, and kind of takes away from my business a little bit, but not fully. But I definitely love it. I'm very passionate.
That's awesome. No, that was one of my major problems why I had to give up my old brand, is every time I started doing something else, I'm like, I should be doing something over here with NFTs. Marcin, if you don't mind, introduce yourself to everybody that's watching and tell them a little bit about you and what you're doing, and then we'll answer some questions, get some things rolling.
Sure. So I guess I would be called a proper NFT degenerate.
Definitely, my friend, for sure.
So I was actually kind of similar as both of you, but I kind of made the switch, I think, faster back in August, where once I got a taste of the good life in the NFT space, the chaos, I really kind of did a similar thing. I shut down my business and really kind of made a shift. So both of you are going to do it too, I'm pretty sure. Right? But yeah, my background's in marketing, film, and e-commerce. So that's where I spent the last really 15 years doing, and all online now exclusively, and really focus on making NFTs, buying and selling as an investor, and flipping. But yeah, it's an exciting space. So I look forward to having a chat about it all today.
And for anyone watching that doesn't know who I am, I used to be known as the Funnel Doc. Had a bunch of success with funnels, click funnels, and all that, making funnels. But as I was just speaking with Isabella, what has it been like? I guess it's been about 6 months ago now. I started seeing it all and decided to get into it, launching NFTs, creating NFTs, and just saw this ultimate possibility with this, where NFTs are the future. If you buy or sell anything within the next couple of years, most likely it's going to be an NFT, especially once the tech catches up. I think that's one of the things, and this is one of the things I want to address on today's show, was what an NFT is. Now, can you make money flipping them and arbitrage and stuff? Marcin's done it. I've done it. We've all done it. And it can definitely be done, and you can make a lot of money, but realize that's not the purpose of NFTs. And I think a lot of people get that misconception. They're like, oh, it's about buying images or buying these things that people say worth something, and I'm just what we call paper handsing them, and I'm just flipping them left and right to make money, which you can do that, but it's basic arbitrage. Just like if I buy a car and it's worth more down the road and I resell it, realize it's a car, it's meant to drive. It has way more purpose than just making me money. So Marcin, talk on that a little bit. I know you've probably experienced that, run into, especially with the newbies, that whole misconception of like, oh, it's just to make money, which you can, don't get me wrong, and you can make a crap ton, but that's not what NFTs are really about.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the gold rush happened last year, and we all feel like, actually Isabella and I were just having this conversation, where we feel like we're late, right? We're late to the party. Oh man, I wish I was there when CryptoPunks launched. Oh man, I wish I was there when the Apes launched. Oh man, I wish I was there when Neo Tokyo launched, and et cetera, et cetera. That's going to continue going. So there's major FOMO in that space. And I think a lot of people are thinking of it just as a pure investment. Mm-hmm. I personally think of it as an investment, but also while I'm doing the investment, I'm learning about new companies that are up and coming. Right. So I think one thing for me, being in the old launch of the internet of the 1997, 98 days, it's exactly where we are now. People were basically investing in IPOs back then of some young kids, a new store that was going to go online selling dog food in their grandma's basement, and everybody threw their money at it, right? And there was that time, but then after that, all those projects disappeared, And then really what was left were actually good companies. So I feel like that transition's happening already in the NFT space. And I think it's happening actually quite fast. And I think it's only going to accelerate. So I think there's going to be tens of thousands of projects, of which 98% are probably going to go to zero. Right. So starting as an investor, moving into more of, I don't want to say fundamentals, but yeah, fundamentals, I guess is a good word that people can understand, which is you got to look past the value of the, oh, am I going to make an ETH on this or 2 ETH on this? It's like, okay, why are you buying this project? Are you buying it as a day trader? That's fine, right? But that's just a money incentive. And then it's like, okay, maybe I'm buying it as a long time holder because I believe in the game they're launching or the coin they're, launching. So I think that's a big thing that's already happening. For me, I'm definitely shifting my focus. I'm exclusively, I would say 90% now buying projects, especially large sums of money, into projects that are here for the long term, that are going to be here 5 to 10 years. It's hard to know because in 99, you had Google, Yahoo, MSN, Alta Vista, and most of them went to trash, right? AOL, and what was left was Google. So I think being diversified in those bigger projects, if you can, because they're obviously expensive, but knowing that most of them are going to go away. But if you learn to, I guess, break down projects beyond the, oh, this is a cool looking piece of art, or, am I going to make $10,000 on it? And looking at it, who's running the project? What is the details of the project? What's the roadmap look like? Are they actually executing on what they're doing versus just talking about it? And you've seen that too, I'm sure, Jeff, like projects that promise you everything and then they don't deliver on any of it. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Isabel, as someone new getting into space, what's your thoughts about making money versus the long game? What is your process, or what are you thinking about? What are you focusing on right now in that space?
So for me, money is always nice. I love
always.
If people know me, they know, like, I always say this, I love money. So I'm not offended by making some extra money. But when it came to NFTs, and what caught my attention was really the utility behind some of these. And some of the conversations that I have with friends, first thing they say is, well, why can't I just right click and save this? And it's a prevailing question that I get all the time. And I try to explain to them that it's not necessarily the art part of it that interests me specifically, but where can I take this and how I can apply this to more than one thing in my life. And just like you said, Jeff, in the beginning, I feel like NFTs are here to stay, are here for the future. We might not know what that is now. So for a newcomer coming in, I'm trying to just grasp everything that I can, learn everything I can about smart contracts, DeFi, blockchain, setting up a wallet, and there's all these little things that you don't think are going to be hard until you do it. And I feel like they made it hard for this specific reason for not everybody to get in. So for me, I'm an entrepreneur. So when I'm presented with a challenge, I'm like, okay, how can I overcome this? And what are different ways that I can overcome this? And then explain it to people in the simplest ways so they can replicate what I just did without spending 40, 50 hours on it, which it took me a long time, because it's just like moving from the no internet to now internet, just like Marcin was saying. And it's like, oh my God, what do we do with this? And you meet people who are like, oh, this is complete BS. I'm not touching this. And there are people like, they want to learn, but they have no clue where to go. So information is there, but not really there. There's a lot happening. You don't really know where to find good sources for that. So that's another thing that I had to learn myself, and be able to associate myself with people that know, like both of you, right? Like I reached out to you, I'm like, this is so cool, you're doing this. Now we're having this conversation for the simple fact that I was interested in it, right? So that's what I would always tell people. If you are interested in it, reach out to people, find out where you can find accurate information, just so you're not misled and go down the wrong road. Marcin, I know you're doing like crazy numbers and you're buying everything. That is good. That is a good project. See, that's the difference, because most people are going in and, they'll buy what they see their friends bought, and you don't really know what the value for that is. So I would say, instead of just going in and throwing everything in one project, kind of do your research, and it's okay if you miss out. because the FOMO is real. You know, the FOMO is real for me. I'm like, I wish I had a Bored Ape. I wish I had V Friends. I mean, you can wish all you want. So now what old me would have probably done is like, here's $100,000, just buy everything you can. But now I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Let me see how I can invest this money wisely. And is it worth it? And, you know, I'm missing opportunities literally daily, but I have to make peace with myself and say, it's okay, because now I am in the learning process. And Marcin, you said it right. We are still in the beginning. Yeah. When you start getting into this, you're like, holy cow, like I just missed out like a whole year of doing great investments. So we're early, but we're not early. I don't know. I'm still battling with this, but I'm learning as much as I can. And I freaking love it.
So everybody, 1 second here. Christian's back. He's also newer in NFTs, but really runs a lot when it comes to gaming. He's a expert in scholarships for Axie Infinity. He has a whole program involved in that. So that's one reason why I want to have him on. Let's talk about that real quick, about the whole misconception of the right-click save, because I think for a lot of newbies, and for me, look, I'm a little bit older, okay? That was one of the biggest things I had when I first got into these. I was like, well, what the fuck, man? It's digital. It's not real. Why does someone care? But that doesn't matter. Realize, to the people it does matter to, they live in that world. To them, it matters. And that's all that matters. So once you can sort of get that, first of all, the connection that it doesn't matter that's digital and you can't touch it or hold it. That does not matter, okay? What matters is the fact that it's real to the people in the digital world. And what the ability for the blockchain does in making it an NFT, which non-fungible means it's unique and not interchangeable for anything else. It's just like, I'm sure you guys have heard before, it's like a Mona Lisa in the real world. But the cool thing is, on the blockchain, I look at that Mona Lisa, I know this is the real one, owned by this person. Here's all the history on it being bought and sold, any utilities attached to it, all this type of stuff. Where when you're in a museum, you look at a Mona Lisa, you're like, is that the real one? Is this a copy that they're just saving? You know, like, you don't know. But that's one of the cool things that I really find that's a difference between the blockchain and between when you right-click save. Sure, you have it, but that's like buying a copy of the Mona Lisa in the gift shop. You don't own the real one, brother. You got a copy. And that's the difference between the NFT and the right-click save versus the real thing. Marcin, what's your thoughts on anything like that?
I actually would love, since Christian just jumped on. Christian, you want to tackle this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Feel free.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I definitely think that once you grasp the simplicity of it, like, I feel like there's so much complexity around NFTs because it's like a techie buzzword. But in the end, it's just about who owns what. Yep. That's it, right? That's so simple. I own this cup in the digital world, and everyone can see that, and that can never be changed unless I decide with my private keys to give it to Christian. Everybody can see that transaction happen. Now Christian is the sole owner of this cup. The track record is there. It's on the ledger. Everybody can see I owned it first. Now Christian owns it. That's it. Like, to me, the simplicity of it is beautiful. And the fact that it can't be altered is what makes it extremely secure. Right. So like you mentioned the Mona Lisa example, it's exactly that. It's like most people in the art world know that the Mona Lisa in the museum isn't a real Mona Lisa. Like, that's right. Common knowledge, right?
That's funny you said that, because I've always wondered.
Right. Yeah. So most people.
That's because you own it, right, Marcin?
What was that?
That's because you own it.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's your house.
I wish. Yeah. So, and I think that's the beauty of it. And then that applies across all concepts of NFTs and cryptocurrency, where the underlying simplicity of the technology can then get extremely advanced. So now we can tie a smart contract with tokens and tokenize certain ideas in crazy complexity, where you buy an NFT, that NFT yields or earns you a token. That token can then be used to buy another NFT, and then that can be put to work to make you more tokens. So cool, and those tokens, you know what I'm saying? Cool. Like once you really grasp the concept, it's fascinating and fun and exciting, because it's never existed in the world in such a way where, again, it can't be altered and can't be cheated. And then it's just left to the creatives that have no governance, that can be basically, they're able to just do whatever the hell they come up with. And that's the fun part, where you're seeing all these new DAOs coming out and all these crypto games coming out that have, play to earn mechanics. And like, it's really freeing and liberating for most people and artists, especially because they have the power now. It's like, I could create a piece of art, put it on a blockchain. Other investors and artists and gamers love it. They buy it. They bring up the value. That earns money, which means more money goes to the project, which then more NFTs come out, and it's just like this perfect circle. And then no one can control that besides the market. So that's kind of the view on that.
So no, it's a perfect segue. The next thing I want to talk about, though, was the fact that just because something can be made in an NFT doesn't always make sense to make it an NFT. I think that's one of the things that the technology's not there. It costs too much. It's the transactions on Ethereum, all the different stuff. There's so much right now that people are like, I saw someone the other day, they had an image that they took of a fire pit where they're sitting at a bonfire with their family, and they're like, look, I'm going to make an NFT. And I'm like, it's cool if maybe you want to share it with your family, but who the hell's going to buy it? Like, don't be wrong. It's a beautiful image. It's a cool image. But are people banging down your door, knock, 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 I want to buy it? If they're not, the chances of you now making an NFT, don't get me wrong, it could happen. Someone could make an NFT. All of a sudden, the right people see it. You get Pranksy buying it. Next thing you know, the next people. It could happen. But it's going to be a rarity and not the norm. I think that for people that already have a base or a community that aren't out there, those are the people that should make their art or their music or whatever NFTs, because you've already got someone that's willing to buy what you have. Because here's the thing too, and I'm going to love to hear what everybody else thinks. People aren't thinking that, hey, just because you're in NFTs and crypto doesn't mean everybody else are. So now you're turning something into an NFT that they have to figure out what the fuck is an NFT, first of all, then how to get crypto, then how to get a wallet, then they get to finally buy your art, where if it just been normal art like you normally would have made anyway, they would have bought it straight up. So again, I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts on that, but please, we'll start with Marcin. We'll jump around the circle here. Brother, what's your thought on, oh, dude, it's cool, I'm going to make it in an NFT now?
I think everyone should make an NFT just to see how hard it is to sell an NFT.
Sure.
That's all I'm going to say on that.
Okay. All right. I love it, dude. I love it. That's a good point. Like, for the experience, if nothing else, that was one thing how Isabella and I originally started talking. She was like, oh, I want the experience of learning everything.
Right.
So I definitely think that if nothing else, taking your artwork, going to OpenSea, or what's one like Rare, or like what is it? Rareable is one of the ones for artists, I believe. There's a couple other sites that are more artist based. Mm-hmm. Go for it. You might cost you a couple $100. What do you an Ethereum uploading or whatever? Good experience. Just don't think making an NFT is going to be the thing that lights the fire underneath your career.
The reason I say that too, Jeff, is because I want people to come into the space.
Right.
The best way to get into the space is actually going through the process, right? Learning how to set up because you can't make an NFT without setting up your MetaMask, transferring ETH, right? Like, so I think that's a good kind of gateway into the madness.
Right. And again, I don't want to discourage anyone. This is my whole thing. I moved in this space because I love it so much. I want everybody to be a part of it. I just don't want people all of a sudden trying to sell their house or something because they think they're going to make an NFT and it's going to be the next thing, because it's going to shift a lot. I mean, dude, think about what's changed just in the last 3 months when it's come to NFT. 4 months ago, you could make a PHP, profile picture through 2D image, sells out like that, no problem. Doesn't matter who made it or whatever. Now, big shift, a lot of shift. People are going to 3D images, more land, more things like that. But Isabel, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh God, yeah. I have to agree with Marcin. I think the learning process is extremely crucial. Again, because it's painful. I'll tell you that it's extremely painful. I've done it a few times. I created my own collection for the purpose, not that I thought anybody was going to buy it. And I didn't go crazy. I didn't pay anybody to create anything. I literally took an image, a picture that somebody took of me. I was like, oh, this will work. And I went through that process. Then you're like, okay, am I going to put this on the ETH blockchain, on on Polygon, and then you start learning like, oh, if I do it this way, it's free. And me and you, Jeff, we talked about this, like what's the difference between putting it on Polygon and on ETH. Whereas on Polygon, you don't get as many eyes on it. But for me, it was a great learning curve. So what I learned the most is that if you're not passionate about this, you can forget it. It's painful. It's painful to the point where you're like, why am I doing this? For me, it works because I'm so passionate about it, and I actually get excited when things get hard, because I'm like, maybe not everybody's going to get it, in a selfish way. But just like you guys, I do want everybody to be part of this community, because I don't want people to be late. Like we were late when people were buying all the .com domains. Now people are buying the ENS domains. Nobody knows about it. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know about it until somebody tells you about it, and then you go through the process of it. And, luckily I was able to get my domain a while back. It's just my name, Isabella Hamilton. And then I bought a few other ones. And just going through that process. And like Marcin said, you got to get your wallet and then transfer, you have to have MetaMask, and then you have to have OpenSea. And it's like, it's a collection of all these little steps that get you prepared for what's next. So it's not about like, let me buy a Bored Ape right now. No, it's about, what does it take to actually set up all these things? And then let me create one NFT to see how painful it is, or not, maybe for some that are blessed. And, try to sell it. And I agree on the fact that you do need to have community and support behind it for you to be able to market something like this. Artists are going to have a blast. This is the age of the artist when it comes to NFTs. Good for them. I love it, the fact that there's a lot of women artists. There's a lot of men artists. Beside that, a lot of people that are doing really big things, obviously, are very good at marketing. They know how to work Twitter. I haven't really been on Twitter till now with NFTs. I'm like, oh my God, this is the place to be. So there's a lot of things. It's like a learning curve. And I would encourage everyone to just take a crack at it, because even if it's not something you want to be doing in the future is coming. So you better be prepared for that.
And Christian, what's your thought, especially maybe, and you give people insight more into gaming and stuff and coming into that space, especially because there's been a lot of volatility in the tokens lately.
Yeah, it's been crazy, and I'm trying to follow a few projects, but yeah, you might know how difficult it is to focus on only a few when there's such many. But I agree with what they say, and I see that there is definitely interest in NFTs, and very many people will wants to get in. But I have one project in mind, which definitely has the following. It's not my own following. I don't have any following, so this is the main reason I have managed to postpone any NFT project of my own. But yeah, I'm intrigued, and I think gaming may also be that it's easier to buy NFTs, which you can use in gaming, rather than the process of setting up an entire NFT project.
Definitely. So let's answer a couple questions here. I like this, though. We're already 24 minutes in. We've only talked about a couple things. I think we could definitely talk a lot of.
We get a refill.
Yeah, for sure.
We have to do more parts of this, Jeff, because I don't think
I'm enjoying this. It's good. Like, actually, I talked to my NFT lawyer, and not this week. I think every other week I'm going to be doing a roundtable, and next week I'm going to have him on here. We're going to talk about like DAOs and tokenomics and the legal side of NFTs and stuff like that. So it'll be very interesting. Ashanda, I hope I didn't screw your name up. It sounds like each of you were financially stable with a good amount of disposable income when you started becoming an NFT space. How does someone get started for zero or close to zero? Well, that's a very good question. I think the first thing you really need to ask yourself is, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to flip NFTs and make quick money? Are you looking to launch your own line? Are you trying to find investment projects? I think you really got to ask yourself what you're trying to get into, and all those are fine. Like, you can do all of them, but realize each of them take a way different skill set. Even coming from someone that's flipping versus someone that's going to find projects that are long-term, the research is similar, but the outcome is totally different. They're two totally different avenues you're going down, and the way you have to research them is different because of that. So I really think you got to first ask yourself, and the money, it's depending on what you want to get into, it really does take a little bit of money, especially now because Ethereum, if you're going for Ethereum right now, the gas fees for $50, $100 minimum, $50 to $100. It's usually more like 100 plus. So right there, before you even bought your NFT, you started you $100 in. So realistically, you can get in a lot of things. We really, to be able to give you more definitive advice, I want to know which one you're referring to. But maybe Marcin could give some starter advice, or someone that has really little. Again, I don't know what avenue you want to tackle, but someone that's starting out with no finances or very little finances. One of the things I've experienced, and everybody can speak to this, is it's not really a cheap person's game to get involved in. You know what I mean? So, Marcin, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's an expensive game. But I also do think that there are cheaper alternatives.
Definitely.
So depending on what your goal is, like you nailed it. It's like, okay, are you trying to make money on an NFT, any money? That's goal number one, right? Or are you trying to make $10,000 a month to supplement your life?
Right.
Two completely different goals. Obviously, this one's going to require more money, but the process is the same. So in order to flip NFTs, you need to find a platform that you could afford. So if you can't go to OpenSea because its ETH fees are $200, $150, go to Solana, way cheaper. Go to a smaller marketplace. The process is still the same. You still got to find projects that are new. Hopefully you can catch a mint here and there. And then you start that process of finding them, researching them, validating them, minting them, and then hopefully you're profitable. So, and then if you have $1,000, if you don't have $1,000 to start in NFTs, I would probably look elsewhere to basically get to $1,000. Like go flip some stuff on eBay or something, like, because what could happen, what's most likely going to happen is you're going to have $800 and it's going to be so sacred, and you're going to dump it into one mint and you're going to lose it all. Right. And then you're going to basically say what we all said when we started. This is a scam. I can't believe I just gave this magical ETH money network all my fees, like, right? And then you're just going to hate it. So you're going to have a very bad taste in your mouth. So build up a little bag and then start on the low fee platforms, and then hopefully you can find one over the next week or month and hit one, and then you start leveling up. So now if you have 1,000, it becomes 3,000, and now you're like, hey, I'm going to take 1,000 of that and now go to the Ethereum networks where they're a lot more expensive, but obviously there's a lot more eyeballs, and then you kind of slowly start working your way up. But definitely just practice, like that muscle memory of the process, because at the core of it is the research. So you might get lucky, right? Like you might have minted an 8 because your friend sent you a text at the right moment, but you still didn't do nothing, right? Like you didn't learn anything, you got lucky. So I don't really count those projects. Like the projects that I really count in my memory bank is like, okay, I have to do these 90 steps.
Right.
And then I actually put in the hours of work, and then the result was this, whether if it was a win or not. Maybe even a loss is even better, because then you know what not to do the next time. So yeah, that's kind of what I would recommend for starting out, is go gas free or low fees, and then kind of move your way up as you progress.
I think too, one of the things before we move on to Isabella, the other thing too is you can change, you've got time. You know, you don't have money, but most likely you got time. So really put in the research, because like Marcin was saying, you really can't mess up as much. You know, my whole thing, and we'll get into this later, when I like to mint stuff, if I can, I like to mint 3 of them, you know, 1 or 2 I can resell, cover the whole initial, and then I've got 1 for long-term investment or 2 for long-term investment in the project. Ideally, I mean, it's hard to do that now, but that's one of the things, you know, when you're really thinking about that. Isabella, with someone starting out new, do you have any advice for anyone that's starting out that says a lower?
And I love this question, because this question, it's literally applicable to any type of business. So I want you to, first of all, consider this as a business. So what do you do when you start a business and you don't have any money? What I would do, I would go intern somewhere, right? Get all the knowledge. So when it comes to the crypto world and NFTs, what is it that you can do right now? Your best asset is learning. Just when you learn a little bit, or if even if you don't learn, but you have that passion and you're interested, go follow all these projects. Like if you're a woman, follow all the women projects. Like I was talking to Marcin earlier, women in weapons. I would literally go to the owner or the admin every day. Hey, how can I get involved? I want to learn everything. Pay me nothing. I want to learn. So what happens is like you start getting a name, you start getting known. You cannot be shy. If you're shy, put that away. You cannot, leave your introvert at home. And because this is a world of being very social, you need to build something. And then you will find projects that people will actually pay you for. So I met a kid in Vegas last week. I went for a CS conference. When I say kid, under 20. Okay, everybody under 20 is a kid for me. So I met this kid and he's like, yeah, I kept talking to people and I got under this project. He's like a mod in a Discord group. They're paying him 1 ETH a week. What?
Wow.
Like that's crazy, right? Just to mod, just to make sure answers, are being taken care of and everything else. So there are things that you can make money with right now without having to focus on NFTs. And I know everybody watching this, and I know everybody who wants to get into the NFT game and crypto is because they want money. Trust me, we all want money. Not everybody says it, but we all want money.
Of course.
And for some of us, it's more fun than others, but the end result is always, how can I get the bag, right? So to get the bag, you got to get educated. You got to be connected. So don't wait. Don't just throw that $1,000 at the first thing that your cousin or friend said that it may blow up. How about you get some knowledge first, get connected to these people, maybe even end up making some money, because there's so many projects out there that they would die for you to go and get involved. If somebody came right now to my company and say, Isabella, I love RankBell, I love what you do in the Amazon space, I want to intern for you because I want to learn everything. Gold. I would can I have 10 of them? So don't feel like just buying an NFT is your only way of making money. Everything that you've ever thought of, you can create now in the metaverse, in the NFT. And then you have kids. Maybe they like to doodle. I don't know. There's always a story. Maybe the artist in you wants to come out. Maybe you start doodling. I mean, I love Gary V, but like, look at V Friends, like that art. What is that? I don't understand. Like, did he do that in 2 minutes while drinking his wine? Possibly. But yet, because he created this community, he could literally draw a circle and people would pay 40, 50 grand for it.
Yeah. That's right. Awesome. Excellent point. That's great. I was worried that you might not have enough to say, but awesome. My
problem is I always have too much to say. So stop me anytime.
Glad to have you on the show. Awesome. Christian, so what do you think about people that are new, that are maybe NFTs or maybe even in gaming? Like Axie right now are pretty inexpensive to compare to what they were a couple months ago.
Yeah. I think I was lucky actually, because I had cryptocurrencies which I swapped for to buy an NFT. So my first NFT was actually a Metamon on the Binance chain, and I played it for about 14 days, and then I heard about this Axie Infinity. So I bought it for I think $400, and I sold it for close to $8,000.
Oh wow!
Which allowed for me to take a course a contact of mine has, and also buy a few teams to get started with Axie. So my first team I actually intended to play with myself. So I think I played for about 6 minutes and realized
not the most fun game. I'm going to be honest, man. I'm going to be really, even a gamer, I'm a big gamer, and I'm just like, after like 30 minutes, I'm like, really?
Yeah. I also didn't have the time to learn, because there are strategies and tactics that you want to learn in order to being able to level up the Axies. So, and it makes more sense actually to have someone already experienced with the game to who couldn't afford a team of their own and have them play it for you. So, but I think without funds, I mean, it's difficult, but as you guys say, a lot of research and learn at least the fundamentals, and then try, as you have already advised, the Polygon or low fee chains, and go for the more, how should I say, more unknown, maybe projects, which isn't that expensive. Because many times when you look, you can find something, and if you're new, it's difficult to say what projects will go to the moon and what projects will fail. So a lot of research. But then when you revisit a project that you have visited like some weeks earlier, you realize that yeah, they're already, that train went.
No, I think that's a good point too. Like Marcin pointed out as well, that when you first start out, it's almost good to fail, because then you sort of know what not to look for versus what to look for. Because when you're first starting out, you're like, unless you get somebody to mentor you or to help you, like, I know when I first started, I didn't know what to look for. I mean, it looked cool and that sounds cool and they're doing this, but like, what does that really mean? So that's a very good point. When you're first starting out, like, you don't really know what are the key points that you really need to look for yet.
It's much cheaper to fail when you have less.
Right. Very much.
For sure.
Jerome asks, he says, I've been hearing a lot about success in NFTs by building a community. So I've been wondering the pros and cons about having a community. It's significant to helping an NFT artist grow and how you can keep your community engaged. I also know that NFTs are the future of art, and I've been impressed with positive feedback I've come across when researching and asking questions. But recently I've come across paying services that claim to teach more about how to start NFTs. So I'd like to know the most reliable place I can broaden my NFT knowledge. Well, that's here, obviously. So you're already in the right place to learn, broaden your NFT knowledge. But as far as building a community, pros and cons, I don't really know any con other than it takes time and it takes dedication. Like, you've got to be willing to do this, get together with amazing people at 5 o'clock in the afternoon to do a video so that you can help educate people. I think when it comes to building a community, one of the number one things is like, how can I provide value? Or at least this is how I look at it. How can I provide value to that community, help educate that community, and take them to where, especially with this, to where they know nothing about NFTs, to where they're maybe not experts, but at least have a solid base and won't make fundamental mistakes that will cost them tens of thousands of dollars. Because that's the thing, man. There's no reset button when it comes to NFTs or anything. I made the mistake just the other day of trying to send ETH on the Binance chain. Guess what? That doesn't work too well. All of a sudden, next you know, a couple $100 gone out of my wallet. I'm like, should have realized that, didn't I? But that's little things that, thank goodness, only lost me a couple of $100 versus a couple thousand. And that's the thing. Until you make those mistakes on this, a lot of this is trial and error. Like I like to call, when it comes to NFTs, launch and learn. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're going out there and you're failing fast and learning, because as Isabel pointed out, like, there's still no one really to go to. Sure, Gary V's out there. Alex Becker's crushing it. There's a bunch of amazing people doing amazing stuff, but they're not going, hey, here's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how I did it. You're having to research it. You have to break it down. You have to figure it out your own, so this space is really new. And I think one of the funny thing is it's funny because all of us here, I guarantee you, a little bit feel like, oh, I might have missed out a little bit, Bored Apes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But when we take one step outside our circle, we really still will realize how new NFTs, even though it's been pushed a lot by Nike and all this major stuff that's been going on, maybe 1 or 2% of the world population really know what NFTs really even are yet. So there's going to be, in a year from now, whatever's happening right now, in a year from now, we're going to be like, man, I wish I had missed that. You know what I mean? Like, or we'll get into it. Like, I know Marcin got in on Alex's Neo Tokyo, so he's going to be able, in a couple of months from now, be able to say, this is the next Bored Ape or whatever, like, there's potential with that. So what's your thoughts on the pros and cons, Marcin, of building a community in NFTs?
I think, it's all mostly pros. I would say the cons are, if you're building a community to make money off of that community, I think is the big mistake.
Totally.
And this is something that you're really seeing now happen regularly. And it's actually happening to larger projects that everybody went into the project thinking one thing, and then actually it was something completely different, Sure. And I don't want to name them because they're like top 20 projects on OpenSea, right? They're worth tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, but the founders or creators basically either didn't anticipate the bad thing happening, or they just didn't care enough. So I think one thing is, for anybody that is building a community or thinking about doing it, is really do it for the community aspect, not, oh, if I could build this community and I have this NFT idea, I'm going to be able to sell my NFT and sell out.
Right.
I think that's a huge mistake. And I think that's the big cons that people are running. So Alex Becker, as an example, right, with NT, that was 100% community-driven project, right? They didn't run off with the money, like, because they knew if we could build it and build it right, 5-10 years from now, the core people that are here now are still holding and are part of something that's worth $20 billion or whatever, just obviously arbitrary numbers, but just to give an idea of the potential. So I see those projects as like investing into, EA Sports in 1997.
Right.
They're hard to come by, and if you're lucky enough to get into it, but there are going to be way many more coming soon.
Lots.
And if you could kind of find that. So community-wise, build a community for sure, but also just be super careful on why you're building it. Don't build it for the wrong reason.
Right, exactly. Isabella, what's your thought on community building?
So community building, it's something that I'm extremely familiar with because I have built my own community in two ways, actually. One, as being kind of a leader in the Amazon space, and second, on the actual consumer side, on the Amazon space, I have thousands of influencers that I am in contact with almost daily because this is just how my service works. I'm like the bridge between the Amazon seller and the Amazon shopper. And what I realized by building a community is you do have a strong support from your community, whether that is for your NFT project, or maybe for launching a t-shirt in the future, or for launching a book, or just being part of the community. It's amazing. A lot of us, especially during COVID, we didn't have, the ability to just go hang out with our friends. So having a community is good regardless of what you're going to do. Now, when it comes to NFTs, I feel like it's even stronger. You have to have a presence. Otherwise, who is going to buy your NFTs? So I don't really see a con with that. Obviously, both of your points are extremely amazing. And, you shouldn't go in it with the thought of, oh, I'm just going to make money and then leave them by. I feel like a community is something that will follow you for the rest of your life and will support you and you support them. It's like mutual respect. And those are the communities that last. That's why when Gary Vee came out with NFT, they're like, we don't know what this is, but guess what? I'm in. Same thing with Alex Becker. I think what he does is amazing. I've been following him for years. He's brilliant. He's super funny. I get his jokes, like he's sarcastic. So find the people who are also attracted to the kind of person you are, because chances are they're going to also be attracted to your projects. And, it's just beautiful being in a community and being in a loving relationship with other people that support you and you support them. So I love community building when it comes to really anything.
All right. And Christian, what's your thought, brother?
Well, frankly, this is one of the main reasons I have postponed NFT projects, because I'm not a very public guy, and I also don't have any following. So my main issue, I think, at least, what is holding me off proceeding is how do I build a community? Why would anyone follow me? So this is the main reason I haven't looked any further into NFT projects, but I do understand the pros. But for me, a huge con is to actually build a community from scratch. I mean, you could have a great NFT project, but rather pointless if you don't have the following. How do I start building a following or a community when you don't have?
I think we've all probably got
offer.
Yeah, I can offer a suggestion.
Go ahead. Help
you want. And this is so great. I'm so glad you said this, because there's so many people out there that are thinking exactly what you're thinking. They're like, I don't like being on camera. I don't like talking to people. And not that you don't like people, it's just the kind of person you are. And there's a lot of people, especially with COVID, it made us all even more introverts than we were already. So what I would do if I were you, because obviously you're a genius, you're on this call, your shit. Axie is like your world, right? And you have all these abilities that somebody like me maybe doesn't have. But what do I have? I have community. So I would always suggest, again, reaching out to people. If you don't like being on the phone, that's fine. If you don't like being on Zoom, that's fine. send an email, say, I am Christian. This is what I can do. Boom, 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 boom. What I don't have is what you have. Let's create some sort of relationship. And next thing you know, you're tapping into a network of 100,000 people or 1 million or more. Maybe Gary Vee would love to have you on his team because you are brilliant, So, and we all have at least one talent that we can utilize. And when it comes not only to NFTs, but really everything. So if you're watching this, don't feel like you cannot build a community because you're nobody, because you are somebody. And it just takes that one email or maybe that one phone call, and it takes just that one time. And next thing you know, you've built something incredible. Like, don't feel put off by it.
Totally. Marcin, you got anything to say, brother?
For sure. Christian, one thing, man, just self-reflect right now. You're on a call with the NFT doc.
I actually got 1 ETH from Jeffrey for being on camera. I'm just kidding.
Nice. But yeah, man, I think to kind of echo what Isabella was saying is the biggest thing is you're doing something very visual. So I would just suggest right now, I don't know how much social media accounts you have and where you're posting your stuff, but I would right away, the next time you play, go live on every platform you can. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about the followers. Play your game. Yeah. You're spending time doing it already, and talk about people. Just what you shared with me, because I don't actually do a lot of gaming, but I'm going to kind of have to now because I'm investing in a lot of gaming projects. So like I would watch your channel. I actually, flip through my TikTok looking for gaming channels because I'm trying to kind of see how that's all done and how much time do I need to actually invest in that, right? So go out there, do what you do, keep it authentic. Don't worry about the people, man. The people will come. Like, that's the big thing also. Like, don't worry about you had 1 viewer or 2 viewers. Keep talking, keep showing, keep playing, and you're going to grow, especially being able to come and hang out and share your knowledge. Because what as Jeff mentioned, let's say 1% of people in the world know even what the term NFT means. 1,000% of those people know what Axie Infinity is.
Right. Still new.
Right. So
I guess I might just need to hear that.
And you're in the hottest area.
That makes sense.
Right. So to top onto that, what Marcin was saying, that's the thing, man. You've got right now a passion for gaming. There's a lot of people that want to know more about Axie. And if that's your thing that you really like, or maybe it's the scholarship part of it or whatever it is, I can guarantee whatever you like, you focus on that and start providing value for people for that. And I guarantee people will come. I mean, I'm very blessed. When I first started the Funnel Doc, I had no followers. Like when I first put that Funnel Doc jacket on, I didn't know people were going to laugh at me and go like, who's the dummy in the lab coat? I didn't know. So, and then luckily it parlayed into then a following, which I was able to move over here to where I am now. Thank God, it's been amazing. But when I first started, I didn't have anything. And I want you to think about this too. When you're first starting, everyone listen, open your ears, listen. The good thing about having people now not watching is when you mess up, it doesn't matter. You don't got it, but it's not 10,000 people going, oh, look, you totally screwed up there. It's nobody. So now is the time to make mistakes and learn so that when you do have those 10,000, you've already got it perfected. You know your craft, you're badass at that point. So don't be afraid to start now. Be happy that you only have a couple people, because when you do have that 10,000, that's when the pressure is really on, not when nobody's watching. So get out there. You can do it. The only thing stopping you is you, because guess what's scary? It's a little scary. I'm going to admit, I'm a man with a day. We're supposed to be tough, but it's a little scary when you get out there for the first couple of times because you don't know what people are going to say. You don't know how they're going to react. But the thing is, you have to not care. That's the thing. You have to not care. You have to be doing it more for yourself and putting it out there. And then, hey, if the people come, then that's cool versus, oh, I'm going to do this and hopefully people are going to come. Because if you go from that, like sort of almost a scarcity mindset because there's not enough people, rather than, hey, if I do it, there's so many people out there, someone's going to come because there's so many people want to learn about this. Come from that mindset and you'll grow, versus the other one. It puts you in a spot where if things don't work out perfectly, if you don't feel it's perfect every time, you feel like a failure every time. When you're not, you're learning, you're growing, you're launching and learning, you're doing it. Doing it is where success comes. I talk to all my friends, all my $1 million entrepreneur friends that have multiple 7, 8, 9 figures. one of the common key facts everybody has is they're not afraid to fail. They'll take action. I know my buddy, they'll hear something, and before I've already talked to someone, they've already implemented it. That's the thing, whether it worked or not, they're trying to figure it out, So don't be afraid to take those steps, get out there, make your mistakes now. That way, when you have that 10,000 people, you're golden, man. You're golden.
Yeah.
So cool. Paula wanted to know, and wow, we've already been at this almost an hour. That's crazy. Paula wanted to know, how is minting different than buying an NFT on market? So we'll just cover this real quick. I don't think we don't need to go around. Really, minting is the first time it's made on the blockchain itself. It doesn't have to come necessarily from a creator's site. It's the first time the NFT is made or created on the blockchain is when it's minted. You can mint from a smart contract. You can mint from a website, which is called a DApp, or a decentralized application. You can mint from that, but really the difference is, at least what I like to think of it is, it's like a slot machine. When you have put it in there, you don't know what you're going to get. Am I going to get that super rare one that could be worth millions, or I'm going to get that crappy one that's like the same as everybody else? You don't know. But that's the difference in actual minting when you're coming off a DApp or a website, is you put your ETH in or whatever crypto you're using, and you don't know what could come out. And that's what's a cool thing now. It's very popular. It used to, and that's the thing, just a couple months ago, every launch was instantly revealed. Now every launch has got a reveal period where they hold off because they get more secondary sales. They've seen they get more transactions waiting, because as soon as rarity is revealed, you see that huge spike and drop in sales because people start knowing what's worth what. So as far as the difference between minting and buying on OpenSea or any secondary marketing, minting is just the initial creation, and normally you're not going to know what rarity or type you're going to get unless it's, a specific set that way, like a pass or something. On the secondary market, normally, unless there hasn't been the reveal yet, you're going to be able to know the rarity and traits, and whether it's like a floor or a ceiling or anything else like that. Marcin, you want to say anything on minting or creating on secondary
I just like
market?
to think of it as giving birth to the project.
There you go. Minting is giving birth for the first time. Perfect. Haroon asked, how important, this is a good one. How important is it to use Discord for community building? I know for sure my target audience is not there, but potential NFT investors are on Discord. Apart from Discord and other platform, what other platform is recommended for building a community? If I should, okay, so first of all, Discord's a must. We tried this before, realized just because people that are on Facebook, keep them to some degree. Here's the thing, where people are living is usually where you want to meet them at. If they're on Facebook, don't try and move them to Discord if they're not Discord people, because they're not going to get it. They're not going to like it. It's going to be weird. They're not going to do it. This is one of the biggest mistakes we made, is before we're like, hey, everybody on Discord, move over to Facebook. And they're like, dude, we're happy on Discord. We want to stay here. Why are you trying to move us over to Facebook? We don't like Facebook, or we'd be there already. So for us, because we're marketers and a lot of our traffic comes from Facebook, I do find a Facebook group is good, because a lot of the Facebook group people don't want to be on Discord. They like Facebook groups. But that being said, if you do not do Discord, you're missing out on the rest of the NFT world that's already out there that would buy your stuff if they knew about it. But because you aren't on Discord, you just did a Facebook group or whatever, they don't. So Discord, really one of the number one things. I'd say literally the number one platform you have to be on to successfully launch NFT, especially in creating the hype. I've noticed that a lot of times, depending on the project, the Discord will die down a little bit. But first of all, for the launch initially, creating the hype, getting the noise, creating the announcements, Discord's a must. Twitter's secondary. Got to have Twitter. Got to be putting them out there. Got to be getting the engagement with that. Facebook groups, depending on where your audience is, you know what I mean? If they're on Facebook, sure, but if you could do a whole launch and never touch Facebook, you know what I mean, and sell out. So unless your audience is there, that's the biggest thing. The biggest problem that I found, and I can't wait to hear what everybody else says, was trying to move people from where they're happy. If they're happy somewhere, go to where they're at if that's your audience and let them stay there. Do not try and move them, because you'll just get unhappy children. They'll be like, dude, dad, I don't like being over here. Why'd you make us hang out in this part of the park? We liked over in that part of the park, whatever, So Marcy, what's your thought on that, brother?
Yeah, for sure. For me, it would be Twitter would be first
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm coming at it from a research phase, right? So you can't find the Discord group without finding the
There you
Twitter,
go.
somebody talking about it. But they're both like neck and neck. I mean, the only difference is because I'm obviously coming at it from more of an investor side.
Right. And I'm
If I was
coming from a
the
launch
creator side,
so-
it would be for sure Discord #1.
Right.
Telegram's also a good one. Telegram is more there for, I would say, tokens than NFTs, but obviously there's a lot of NFT conversations. And then Instagram and Facebook is same. It's people that are there because they're used to it. It's getting more though.
Instagram's
Because-
picking up. I've
So
noticed.
I would say, you know, if we're in the 1%, it's currently, that's the landscape. When we get to 10%, I would bet that Facebook and Instagram are going to be a huge part
Right.
of the space where people are going to be doing it a lot more on those platforms. But outside of that, I mean, it's really just about, like you said, where you're at, you know.
Awesome. Isabel, you got anything you wanted to add on that?
You sure you want me to answer? 'Cause
No,
can go
I
for
love
another
it.
30
You've always
minutes.
got something to say. I love it. I love it. That's why I was glad to have you on the show.
I love Facebook and Instagram. This is where I do most of my business. So for me, it was a little hard moving into Twitter and Discord because I'm like, what the hell is happening?
Right.
So don't do what I did, because what I did, I went to Discord and I just went into all these chats that was overwhelming, and I get notifications and I'm like, who's who? I don't know how to get out. What the hell's going on? So don't do what I did. Go to the ones that you specifically want, whether it's like Gary Vee, and just stick to one and be like, this is how it works. Like, I still don't know how to work Discord. The part of like, stay where you are, like that's great. And I think everything will eventually come to Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
But right now, go to where the learning is. Like, force yourself, you know, like we're too cuddled all the time. Like, oh, you gotta be warm and this. Like, I come from Romania. Like, no, I was freezing and hungry, like, which is why I got to where I'm at. So be a little cold and a little hungry if you really want to learn. If you're like, oh, I get into Discord and I don't know what the hell is going on, don't just like quit everything and be like, this is not for me, because this may be for you, but you just have to go through the suck a little bit. And it's all about sucking right now. And I think we're going to be sucking for a long time. And I don't know anybody that can be like, I am an expert, because I think we are experts in process, including you who's listening right now. You will be an expert because you are interested in this. So we will be the pioneers of this space if you're willing to go through the suck a little bit.
Definitely. Definitely. Christian, what do you got to say, brother?
Yeah, I'd say one con with Discord is definitely the numerous of different projects you want to get involved in, and it's impossible to keep up. And, you know, trying to, even if you try to follow the announcements, you can't possibly remember, you know, launch dates, and yeah, it gets overwhelming and it goes fast. At first, I only followed like 2 or 3 Discord groups. Now I can spend an entire day in Discord only, and I still don't have a clue when I go to bed. But yeah, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear Marcus. I wind up opting in a lot of Discords, especially as I'm researching projects, but then I narrow it down to where I'm trying to only do like 5 to 7 projects at a time. Really, I find anything more than that. And Marcin, I know you do a lot of Discord hopping and stuff like that. You might have some better insight, but I feel that any more than 7 projects to really pay attention sort of gets hard. What's your guys' thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me, it's kind of those 3 buckets, you know, flipping, midterm, and then long term. So my long terms are on top of my list. I check them every single day. I engage with them every day. I read every announcement. Then the mid ones are, again, every couple of days, or if I kind of see a new announcement. And the flip ones I don't even follow. I just follow them to maybe get on a white list, but that's rare now. So yeah. I don't really even follow Discord groups of projects that I'm just flipping, because I'm flipping them because of Twitter, not because of Discord. So yeah, I would say definitely that kind of breaks it up into my 3 buckets. But the projects that you do follow, you really do want to follow them because your money's on the line, right? If you're doing it as an investor. So like, you miss one headline, you miss one announcement, you're done, right? Because there could be a group of people that are saying, hey, for the next 40 minutes, if you're holding this token, we're going to give you this other NFT that's a migration that's worth 10 times more. And if you miss that, then you're kind of ass out of luck. So Yeah, definitely got to stay on top of it. The one other place too I'll say now, especially, is TikTok. I forgot to mention TikTok. It's a big crypto and NFT platform that's really blowing up, because obviously the generation, like, we're the old school,
Right.
you know, in this industry. Like, as funny as that sounds, like, we're on the first inning, but we're like the old timers.
Right.
The kids that are 14 to 18 are really owning this industry, and they're on TikTok, a lot of them.
Yeah, a bunch of those kids are about to blow up because they lived in this space. Like, most of them were, when you think about metaverse, and we're gonna have to have a whole episode on metaverse alone, because I know we could spend an hour, and I want to try and keep these about an hour so they don't go too long for everybody. But yeah, man, there's so much potential out there. I want everybody to realize that you're watching this, that you're like a pioneer right now in this space. Like, you're shaping the history of NFTs. Even watching this and learning what you're learning, you're not late. You are new right now. The opportunities are endless for anyone, whether it's flipping or buying or making, or there's so many possibilities right now. If I wanted to start right now and I had nothing, I would go learn how to build in the metaverse. There's, what is it in Sandbox, 166,000 plots. And I guarantee 98% of those people have money and have no knowledge what to do, how to do anything. Could you imagine? I mean, you could be nobody, go put in the effort, and within 2 or 3 months be making 6 figures building in the metaverse. Absolutely. Not joking. I mean, it's literally all you got to do is be willing to take the chance and bust your ass. That's the difference right now. If you're not willing to put in that time, put in the work to take the steps that others aren't, that's where the success, and that's where the millionaires are going to be made in this environment. The multiverse, in my opinion, is going to make more millionaires than anything in the history of man, anything in mankind. And it's going to make multiple billionaires. It's a multiple trillion-dollar industry. And it's crazy to say, but in 5 to 6 years, if not sooner, most people will be spending a majority of their time, in my opinion, in the metaverse. It's where it's going, people. So most of you guys are curious or trying to figure out if you're watching this. I appreciate everybody. We'll let everybody sign up. Marcin, do you have anything you wanted to say before we close up tonight? I really appreciate all your insight, brother. It's been amazing.
No, thank you, first of all, for having me. It's been a pleasure always. And same thing, hearing Isabella and Christian. Nice to meet you, Christian. We haven't spoken before, but
same.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is, if you're watching this, you're definitely in the first inning. Like, really let that sink in. And the second inning is coming very fast, and it's going to be 100x increase. So when you're looking at the Gary V project, V Friends at 10 Ethereum, and thinking, holy smokes, it's $40,000. Next time you look at it, it's going to be $150,000, and then it's going to be $1 million. So not the monetary value, but to give you an idea that it's moving extremely fast. So you need to act extremely quickly and learn. Like, if you want to get into building stuff, go download Blender, learn it. Download how to make 3D. Download how to become a graphic designer. Yep. Sitting on the sidelines anymore, it's not an option. This isn't like the internet that it took 7, 8 years to kind of develop. This is happening in months, if not weeks. Like, if you're a developer and you're learning coding, amazing. Probably going to be the most paid jobs ever. Yep. Because you're going to be able to build wealth literally with the click of a button. You're not going to have the managers and companies behind you. You're literally going to sit at your computer in the metaverse and write a piece of code that are going to be downloaded by 5 million people instantly, and you're going to get paid in Ethereum for it. So the world is changing very quickly, and I think we're at the basic beginning of it. So really just get out there and do something. Don't just sit around and watch these videos, which is great. And but definitely do something about it. Buy your first NFT, mint your first NFT, download that MetaMask. You've been thinking about it. Be responsible, of course, right. But just have fun with it too, and learn as much as you can.
Awesome. Isabel, what do you got before we wrap up tonight, young lady?
I love what Marcin said. I think it's so true. I mean, there's a long road ahead of us. You do want to learn. I mean, I know I can be a little bit scary. It's like, oh, you have to do it now, but really, it's like, we really want you guys to understand the importance of being kind of the first. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be you investing a lot of money, but being the first in learning this, because by the time you learn how everything is, the world will catch up and they'll be way behind you. So don't feel like just because you don't have money to start a project that you cannot learn, because this information that you have right now will be very crucial. And second thing, look at a business model that you've thought of in the real world that could potentially work in the metaverse, and see how you can make that transition, because everything is going to be in the metaverse. I mean, when I say everything, like think of a water fountain that you see at concerts, that's probably going to be in the metaverse. Like, what is one crazy idea that you always thought of that now you can apply there, and see how, again, how you can get involved with projects and bring that idea to somebody. I know people who were like interior designers in the real world, and now they're doing that in the metaverse, getting paid like 6 figures. Like, what? It's insane. So cool. Your craziest ideas can become reality now. You just got to start learning about it.
All right. Awesome. And Christian, I know that you don't like cameras, and you told me that, you're not going to say a lot, brother, but I appreciate your input and being on here. What do you got for wrapping up for everybody, my friend?
I'm stoked, and thank you for having me. I'm still definitely in a learning process, but I will, from this, I will probably start building a community.
Nice.
And hopefully, if I manage to extend my comfort zone, you'll see me online. So
awesome, man. I hope so. That'd be awesome to see.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Explode from this, my friend. Yeah. So, one last thing here, before we wrap up. We're probably going to be, I would like to be doing these probably every couple weeks. So every other week, I am talking to my NFT lawyer who's really into DAOs and tokenomics and stuff. So I want to get him on here, really dive into the whole tokenomics, DAOs, legality side of everything, because I think that's very important, especially with the way things are trending right now. But before we wrap up, starting with Marcin again, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, brother, where can they get a hold of you at?
So I would say probably TikTok. If you're on TikTok, it's just my first and last name. And then also we have a training course, so we could probably just leave the website there, Jeff, for everybody. But yeah, I would say TikTok. And it's my first and last name on every platform pretty much. So
awesome. And Isabella, where can they reach you at, or where can they get a hold of you?
Facebook, Isabella Hamilton. That's probably the easiest way. And I have a podcast I do every Monday. It's called Seller Sessions. It's all about mindset. You can find me pretty easily if you really want to.
I love it. I love it. And Christian, if people want to know more about Axie or helping you to grow your community, brother, how can they get a hold of you?
This is the easy question. Given that I'm the second most active member in the news for
the Newbies group, right?
NFTs for Newbies, they'll find me in your group.
Awesome. Well, find him in the group. Reach out to everybody. If anybody has any questions, realize that's one of the great things about this is abundance. There's more than enough for everyone, and that's one reason why I don't have any problem promoting everyone here, because here's the deal. What everyone needs to realize when it comes to this is half of the people that listen to me will never, ever buy or engage with me. They might like Marcin, they might like Isabella, they might Christian. And that's the great thing about it, because there's always enough for everyone. So please go out there with that mindset of giving, of sharing, of helping others to grow, because it's going to help you grow in the process as well. I guarantee every time I've been able to show someone something and they've been able to level up because of it, there's something inside me that's level up as well. So thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate everybody that joined as well. This has been a lot of fun. We could probably easily gone on for another hour, but I want to be respectful for everyone's time. Again, thanks everybody for joining, and we are out of here. Peace, everybody.
See you, everybody.
Thank you.